All right, Taylor's up. Says, hello, I'm able to get on page 1 with video, but not seeing views. Maybe the keywords are not as high search as I had thought. Yeah, that's possible, Taylor. You know, that, I mean, that's certainly possible. Ranking videos on page 1 does not guarantee that there's traffic for those keywords. You know, that unfortunately, that's the case. I don't know what else to tell you other than to maybe test some other variations of the keyword and see if you can find some others that may produce better results. Okay.
Go to Power Suggest Pro.
Yeah, look at the suggest terms. That's a good idea. Yep. Guys, go to Google Trend. I mean, the keyword research process has been the same for me for years. It hasn't changed at all. I don't care how many keyword tools come out. None of them matter to me because I just go to Google Trends. Then I go to Power Suggest Pro. And now Google related searches as well. I've been scraping those. That's kind of a shitty manual process at the moment. There's a couple of tools out there that will do that. We may actually have one built in the SERP space here in the coming months as well. So, but those are all the great terms for SEO stuff, guys. I mean, you know, the search volume, I'm telling you guys that the AdWords keyword planner is for AdWords. It's not an SEO thing. So even the numbers and the metrics that they show you, first of all, we all know that those numbers are not really valid. Google withholds a ton of data from us. But second of all, those are SEO, or excuse me, PPC numbers, not SEO numbers. So there's a big difference. And that's why Power Suggest Pro is one of the best tools, in my opinion, ever, because it pulls back the scrape. Now, I've changed my targeting, like how I set up, and I'll just open it up real quick. Well,
while you're opening up, we only use AdWords and RYS Reloaded for relevance, because Google considers them relevant in the niche, but we're not actually targeting to rank for those, since people are paying big money a lot of times to rank for those, but Google considers them relevant, so we add them in RYS Reloaded.
Yeah, like in the info, the metadata and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of the stuff where we add, well, air quotes, relevant.
Right. So like for guys, if you notice, you'll see like I got my settings on this one for Google. I do suffix none and recursive yes. It depends on what kind of what I'm trying to do. Like for what Marco's mentioning, I would go ahead and have recursive, or excuse me, suffix added, because that's going to return a shit ton more keywords, like a lot more. But a lot of the times now when I'm just doing like an SEO campaign for like a landing page or, you know, videos and stuff like that, the problem with setting the suffix and recursive both is you end up with such a vast amount of long tail keywords that are really non-relevant, and it takes a long time to go through and clean the list down to only the relevant keywords. And so I've actually stopped using the suffix version of it now, and I just go with recursive now with basically the seed term that I'm punching in, because it returns a lot less results and they're a lot more valid. Because if you think about it, when you start to do a Google search and somebody like on a seed term, which would be kind of, it depends on the query, but a lot of the times it's going to be a broader type query, then people oftentimes aren't going to be going for the real long tail versions of stuff. I'm not saying there's not traffic there, but I'm saying I always like, I used to scrape all the keywords that I could, and I would end up with, you know, sometimes 1,500 keywords. And then I would have to go through and manually clean out all the non-relevant keywords. And that's a long process. And I found that unless you're doing like setting up for a content marketing campaign for like a long-term campaign, in which case it makes sense to do that level of keyword research. But for a lot of times when I'm just getting started in a niche, then I'll just go in and just set it now for suffix no, recursive yes, and I'll play around with a couple drills. In other words, I'll drill down on a few different variations of the seed term, and that makes it so much easier because I have a lot less to clean out, right? A lot less to filter, and then I end up with a really good, strong list of keywords. Remember, the shorter the query, the more traffic. And so even with the suggested keywords, you're going to get some longer tail stuff. But when you have recursive turned off, or excuse me, the suffix turned off, you're going to only get really the top keywords from Google Suggest that have the majority of the traffic. Those really long tail versions, they do produce traffic, there's no doubt. But it's a small volume of traffic for the really long tail versions. So I just go after the broader type suggest terms to start with, and then once I start to gain traction in a particular with a particular campaign, then if I need to start boosting keywords, like certain keywords, then I'll go start drilling down on those with the suffix turned on, so I can get some longer tail versions, which will end up becoming, either supporting articles or supporting videos or whatever within a silo to try to boost that top level keyword. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Great question.